Hi everyone, William here. As you can probably tell by the title, this is a little bit different from what we're used to. So, for added context, I was hosting the confirmation retreat with about 30 teenagers, and we decided in the spirit of the moment to have a bit of fun to record an episode. So, what you're about to see, because this is also a video podcast, you can watch it on YouTube or Spotify or just listen in audio format, are conversations with two different groups of teenagers. One is 3 and the other is 4, around a variety of things. As you can see, we have a lot of fun. There's a good bit of laughing, but also some really interesting insights on what it's like to be a teenager in 26, what it's like to be a Christian teenager in 2026, and perhaps maybe sprinkled with some advice for the parents as well. I learned a lot. I laughed a lot. And I hope that you get something out of this too. If you do, let us know. We're keen to maybe record another episode with some more teenagers. They're really happy to share their story. So I hope that you're equally happy hearing them. With that being said, and without further ado, here's the Teen Takeover. All right, welcome everyone to another episode of Cross Examination. A very, very special episode today because we have not a priest across us and behind us, as you can probably see on the video, but we have our confirmation crowd. So we thought it'd be good, to hand over the microphones to our next generation. Let's call it the Teen Takeover episode. I think it would be really cool for us listeners, adults, co-teenagers, even younger, to hear from you guys, So we talked about what type of questions we'll be asking. I think you're prepared. So let's see. I do have some surprise questions. And guys off camera, feel free to jump in as well if you want. So let's start with real talk. You 3, level with us. Which one of you has been forced to be in confirmation? Or did you come from your own will? Because I know at the beginning I asked everyone a question. About half was there because they had to. Is this the other half?
Yeah, I'm here because I want to be serious in my faith. I was not forced to come here.
All right. You were shaking your head, Elena?
No, my parents, they wanted me to come here, but it's my decision. They wanted me to do it.
Yeah.
I could choose, if I wanted to do it or not. But, I wanted to.
Cool. Tomas?
Yeah, I wanted to be here as well. I said it to my parents one night. I said, because in Ireland, they have made their confirmation 4 years ago.
Yeah, they make it very young in Ireland, don't they?
That's a bit left out, honestly. But I felt like it's just a place to go, where I can be myself here. Everyone's just going to accept me.
And you feel that way?
Yeah.
Okay, that makes me very happy as a confirmation leader. So say, guys, if you had the church to yourself on a Sunday morning, no one was checking, would you still be coming to church as well on Mass?
Yeah, I absolutely would. Because God's always watching. Doesn't matter if anyone else is, but He is.
In the background there, we got our Lord watching. And what do you get out of Mass then?
I'd say connection to your faith, and you feel closer to God. You feel good afterwards. I'm not sure if anyone else gets this, but whenever I do something that's connected to my faith, or I openly talk to God and not just repeat prayers, I actually feel good in my heart, and I feel, wow, that's great. And I feel so much better mentally. And so it's also more than just knowing that He's watching, but also there's a mental reward, I believe, having a faith and going to church. So that's why I would continuously go under no pressure.
Okay.
Like Jean Paul said, yeah, it's like I get to clear my brain, basically. I get to clear my soul and conscience of what I've done the last week. And I can say sorry to God for what I've done.
Would that necessarily going to confession? Or, nothing wrong with not going to confession.
No, I believe that they're in church. You can, and during the bit about, I asked my brothers and sisters, I apologize for I've sinned. I believe that in that moment, like, I just get to clear my conscience a bit, just like, and I can just enjoy now the Sunday, but like after anything that happened the week, and just say thank you, and I can say sorry for anything I've done wrong.
Yeah, clean slate to start the week again. Nice. Elena, how about you? What do you get out of Mass?
No, but maybe not the morning one.
You're not a morning person, we know that.
Yeah. But I usually come to the afternoon one, and I not only love the way that the pastor like talks and like communicates, but I also love the answers of like the community. Also, when I was like younger, until I was like 10, I lived in Argentina. I went to a Catholic school, so we had like church was like really inculcated into us, like kind of like this habit.
Yep.
And there was a church in our school actually, and there's like masses and stuff. So every like Ash Wednesday, we would have the church, like we will all go to the church and have a mass there every morning before like beginning of school. So it's something that like also has been like kind of like growing with me. And growing.
So you have mass every day?
Not every day.
Okay.
Like, every like few days. So like maybe once a week, or maybe like once every 2 weeks. Like some special masses maybe kind of too.
So you mentioned Father Sjaak, our pastor. If you guys could ask him a dangerous question, a question that you might be a little bit, I'm not sure if I should ask, what question would it be? He's not around. He might listen to it afterwards, but he's not around. How would you like to ask him? That's kind of a bit edgy.
One question that has been quite that does trouble me a bit is there any way for non-believers or those who have committed mortal sins when they died, such as people who committed suicide, do they have a chance to go to heaven? And if not, then like, yeah, that's kind of something I wanted to ask, but honestly, I haven't really mustered up the courage to do so.
Okay, so if you could answer your own question, what do you think you would say? It's a big question, though, you're wrong.
Yeah, it is a big question, but I know God, He's forgiving and loving, so maybe He'll let some things slide, hopefully. But honestly, whether someone goes to hell or heaven or not, I don't believe I could really answer that, because that's really at the end of the day up to God now.
Sure. Okay. You guys, have you a question for Father Sjaak?
Maybe like ask about like his teenage years, and maybe like his past, and like how he found maybe God, maybe if he like found it when he was like younger, or like maybe struggled earlier, but like kind of like a bit of like guidance of like how to continue growing your faith, especially like, as a teenager. As like, I think like many of us like identify like it's really hard kind of like to being a Christian girl or boy in like their teenage years, when most of like people our age are probably like trying to follow the world more than like Christ. So it's also like kind of hard, like with a lot of like temptations and stuff, like going to like out with like a lot of parties, vaping, maybe like anything basically. And like I know a lot of us like struggle with those kind of things.
Okay, well, I thank you for your honesty. I think we'll definitely dig a little bit deeper in that. Thomas, do you have a question for Father Sjaak?
No, really sure.
That's all right.
What's his middle name?
What?
What's his middle name?
What is his middle name?
Yeah. What's even his first name?
Sjaak.
Yeah.
Oh, fine. I thought that was his last name. Oh wait, that was Sjaak the Boer.
Oh yeah.
Sjaak the farmer. Right?
Yeah, because Dutch last names come from either where you're from, or they used to be.
Or your trade, or
yeah, and then they when the Netherlands urbanized in the Industrial Revolution, became so like if you're from Sarah Vaughan, the fleet from like water river, or your occupation like Jan de Boer farmer.
Yeah. So we're getting a bit of a history lesson as well.
I just thought my question. Sir, I think he studied theology at university. Yeah. Why did he choose Catholicism over like the millions of other religions? Like, why did he choose this religion?
I don't want to answer for him, but the little I do know about Father Sjaak is that he was born and raised very much in a Catholic faith, and his mother was very faithful and Catholic, and you're grown usually into your faith, right? The faith you were born into. But great question, and I will make sure to ask him if you guys don't, because he is downstairs still, I think. He's staying for dinner. So yeah, for those who are wondering, we are having our confirmation retreat this weekend. This is why we're surrounded by youth, and you'll see a little bit more later as well. Elena, I want to go back to what you were saying about teenager and what makes it hard for teenagers in 2026. So there's parents listening, there's grandparents listening, there's parents to be listening. What would you like to tell, not necessarily your parents, but adults in general, for them to understand what is hard about being a teenager in 2026? Elena is ready.
Oh, kind of. I think also like what most adults don't understand, like when you're trying to talk to a teenager about feelings, and it's kind of like, if you really think about it, teenagers, the only thing that they actually have and that they actually know is feelings. Like it's the most, like it's everything that's going through your mind.
Mm-hmm.
And I kind of feel like most of us are not like as understanding, because it's like, oh, it's their age, it's not anxiety, like it's not this, it's not that, it's not love, it's not hate. Like I feel like many of us are kind of like pushed away for being young and like for having like stronger opinions than like most people our age maybe, and kind of like pushing things away that maybe like should have been like more seen. Like I know a lot of my friends struggle with like a lot of things like anxiety, like really severe anxiety and like depression, and they have been like pushed away by like several teachers or like several like supposed to be trusted adults that should have helped them, and maybe were like kind of like pushed away because of being young, like not understanding.
Okay, so help them understand.
Yeah, exactly. And also like
Help them understand.
I don't know how. Okay.
No, but I think you said in the beginning is that at your age and how your brain is developing, there's a lot going on, right?
Yeah.
A lot of feelings, especially if you're on social media and news all the time. And that goes, I think anxiety has gone through the roof recently for everyone, not just teenagers, right? But but that's fair. So what would, if you would one ask to adults around you, just very simple ask, could you please more of this or less of that? What would it be?
So don't underestimate teenagers. We know a lot, we feel a lot, and sometimes we show less than what we know or what we feel. So always like be aware to ask. And if you have like this gut feeling, this like kind of like phase maybe inside of you that like something's not right with someone, ask them. They'll probably not tell you the first time, but don't underestimate maybe like signs that you think are important. That maybe you kind of like push away. So kind of like, I don't know, for example, being like really like off-centered all the time, or like not concentrated, and kind of like ignoring that and just going like, oh no, they're teenagers, it's just because of that. Or maybe like pushing away from like Christ and just going like, oh no, it's just because it's a teenager, so it's fine. Like go a bit deeper, like treat them like more as an actual person than just as a child that just doesn't know. Or
so okay, so I'm not going to push back, but I'm very interested because I do have a teenage daughter myself, and we have our special guest walking in, Father Sjaak. You can grab a chair if you can, or whatever, or sit next to me. On that, so when I do, and I hear you, I hear you loud and clear. Before I go there, vibe check. Does everybody feel this way? The other teenagers, what she said, does that relate to you guys? Do you feel the same way? If not, that's okay. I mean,
I feel like
what would you tell adults?
if I could tell adults something, is to really just patience, because a lot of people they can't they don't like dealing with other people's problems. Like I've seen it, they're like, oh, this is too much, and they push them away. You have to understand that people aren't perfect, especially teenagers and younger people. So I feel like what adults need more of is patience, and just give them time and space to breathe and stuff, because they get stressed, very emotional. And honestly, if you give people space, time, and patience, a lot of problems that people get into could have been avoided.
Okay, fair. Tomas, you want to add something? What do adults need to understand better about teenagers?
Maybe just like that we are also like, we're just growing up. We don't know everything yet. They need to guide us, but we also have to find our own way of it as well.
Make your own mistakes, type of thing?
Make our own mistakes. We're going to make mistakes, but at the end of the day, parents need to just help us do the mistakes. Like,
Wise words. Now I'm going to take the side of the parents here for a second. Again, having two of yous at home. When I try to engage, sometimes, not all the time, I get one-word responses, if not a grunt or a slam door or a snidey, cynical comment. What can we do? Because I think you'll recognize those types of... So, okay, great, engage, listen. How do we get through that wall of like, ugh?
I mean, for me, generally, it was kind of like hard to like tell my parents like what I actually feel. But I think it's not only like a decision for like the parents; it's kind of like more a decision for the teen. Because at the end of the day, you could not actually force something out of someone if they're not going to tell you. Because it says like decision; it's like an opinion. But kind of like being more understanding, because that problem that like I know I had at least is kind of like maybe telling my mom something or telling my dad something or telling someone I trust something and just going like, oh no, but you did this, so what they did is fine. Or like, you did this, so this is why you feel like that. So maybe if they do come up to you for something, even if it's like small or if it's little, first let them finish, then kind of like give your opinion, but without like trying to like take away the facts that whatever happened.
Okay, but when I'm asking my daughter to clean the dishwasher or empty the dishwasher, I'm not asking for, a debate, or it's like, could you please? And then I get like this slam door or like, ugh. Anyway, you brought up another thing as well in terms of, growing up as a Catholic or faith-based individual in a quite secular country, being the Netherlands. You hail from Argentina. We got two Irish, half American, half Irish. You sound Irish enough. No, what's your background?
I'm American, but legally I'm Hungarian, living on a Hungarian passport here.
And that's just three. We've got Dutch here behind me, right? We've got Sjaak de Boer, Dutch. We've got a lot of nationalities around us in the group, and you'll see some more. Back to my question: Why is it hard? Is it hard to grow up? To grow up with faith in the Netherlands?
I would say it's not hard, but lots of the responsibilities shift from public events. For example, you're in school hosting like churches, and like at my school, they did the First Holy Communion, and I think they'd also do First Penance. I'm not sure if that's a thing here, but where you do your penance for the first time. And so it's kind of like putting faith on autopilot, because like the community is almost everyone you know. I didn't meet an atheist person until I was in 5th grade, which is like maybe 9, 10.
Yeah.
And it's really your whole community. It's based around Catholicism. You don't need to do much. You just go through the motions, follow along. But when I moved here to the Netherlands, the community kind of felt like the religious bit. It didn't feel. It's definitely not a Catholic or any religion at all country, and a lot of the responsibility shifts to you. Like my school's not doing confirmation. I have to come here out of my own fruition, and I don't get taught my religion in school, which is something we also because I went to a private Catholic school in America, so we used to. That's why I know like so much about the Bible, because we studied that. We have a religion class every day, and we have masses on Friday, so it was always just constantly being. Having my faith ingrained in me. But when I came here, I had all that shifted to me, and I had to maintain my own faith.
That sounds like a good thing almost. That you're more consciously practicing your faith.
That is true, but also it feels quite empty and lonely, because like at my school, I knew everyone was Catholic. I could always relate. I could always talk to people as fellow Catholic. But at my school, I'm like, maybe they're not Catholic. I maybe should probably avoid that topic or something. Like you feel a bit more alone in your faith, and that's why you have to really. I would think if you want to if you have a strong faith in a secular country, you have to strengthen it from within, as opposed to just allowing it to just be the default in your community.
Okay, Tomas.
Here it's very different. What I'd like to say about holidays. So in Holland, Italy, Ireland, Argentina. It's all the holidays are religious, and and people actually turn up to mass. But at Christmas,
the only difference to mass is that it's the same holidays. They just don't turn up to mass here. But it's also Christmas. It's also Easter. It's also based in. Sorry, I interrupted you, but go ahead.
In my school, because they want to be seen as multicultural, they start changing it to the winter holidays.
Mm.
And I find that, and I just don't understand that.
Oh, we're
because-
getting on thin ice now.
Yeah, so we also go to the same school.
Yeah.
And I think it's especially with the like Christian religion, because when it's actually like Ramadan or Eid, they like
Yeah.
show it. They kind of go like,
Who's they here? Is it the
Yeah,
school?
that's-
Okay. All right.
yeah, like
Yeah.
So you feel that Christianity or Catholic is singled out?
Yeah, it feels pushed under. Like at my school, if you praise Christianity, like one of my friends here, we're having a conversation about, just about general Catholicism, just amongst ourselves, and the teacher barged in and started saying all these horrible things about Christianity that were the evil religion and all this stuff. And then she just laughed it off and was like, "Oh, no hard feelings," and walked off. And then another anecdote from the same school, by the way. Someone said that they didn't like the Quran and they got sent to the office. And so it's a bit lots of hypocrisy. And honestly, I do feel like Christianity in secular countries, it's singled out. And it's honestly a bit painful sometimes.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
sorry, can I say
So
Yeah, of course.
in our school, it's just everything like all the other holidays. Every holiday from, I feel like every other religion, they have a big sign out. But I could honestly ask a kid in my school, like, and I bet you, and they would say to me, if I asked them, what actually is Easter? Why do you get a holiday the week of Easter? They just would not know the answer. Because we have to learn about other religions, but nobody has ever taught about our religion. Maybe it's to think it's more popular, but
So what's the alternative or solution here? I guess we're talking about international schools where you have very diverse backgrounds, very different religions. So should it be completely secular education? And if you want a Christian education, you go to a Christian school, or should it be? There seems to be no parity here in terms of how the holidays are celebrated, according to you guys. So what's the way forward? Let's not celebrate anything?
No.
I
Okay.
think
Yeah, sorry.
No, go.
I wanted to make a quick comment too.
Sure.
Also with what he said about Easter and like Christianity being taught and not being taught, I also feel like in a lot of classes we're kind of taught, like, for example, when we talk about like Catholics against Protestants and that kind of like crash that they had few years ago, kind of. Don't have, kind of.
This is not a history podcast, people. Sorry, Elena. Go. Keep going. No, I'm not.
And we're kind of taught like, oh, Christians did this and like Christians did that. And I feel like we're never like seeing the good part, kind of. And there's a lot of things. For example, I had a class actually this last Friday. We were talking about Second World War and hate against Jewish people and like Judaism just in general. And there was like this timeline against like all kind of like discrimination against Jewish people. And most of it was Christians hating against Jewish, Christians hating against Jewish, Christians like hating against Jewish all the time. And I feel like there was like a lot of discrimination, especially because like in our school, at least, there's very few Christians and like very few actually.
Or are they hiding?
Yeah.
I'm asking, because that was going to be my follow-up question. Is confirmation helping you to maybe be that one voice saying, hang on, guys, yes, okay, we did a lot of bad stuff, but there's also a lot of good stuff. Do you feel the courage now already, maybe later? No judgment if you don't, but does confirmation help you stand up a little bit and
I would say it reinforces the faith more because when my mates, I tell them that I had this commitment of confirmation. They're like, "Oh, you're doing that? Well, I'm Catholic. I don't need to do any of that." And I'm not, and then it gives me the fact that I do confirmation says, "Well, probably should, and you should probably take your faith more seriously." And it gives me the courage to tell my mates who are lukewarm Catholics, I should say. And I must say that because of this confirmation stuff, I've gotten the courage to encourage more people to take their faith seriously and to actually go out and practice it and to identify as it. Because a little anecdote was I was walking with my good friend to Lidl, and I asked him, "What religion are you?" And he said, I'm Christian," and I asked him, "Well, what denomination?" He's just curious. He's like, "I don't know." And I'm like, "Well, are you Catholic?" He's like, "Oh yeah, I'm that." And I'm like, "Well, maybe you should identify as that and maybe learn a little bit more about that and stuff." And so I feel like I've created a more entrenched Catholic community at my school because I've kind of rallied them together and encouraged them to actually be Catholics and not in more than just name.
So how do you walk? I struggle with this, right? How do you walk the tightrope, the fine balance between telling people how to live versus, hey, this is what I'm doing, and maybe it could be. How do you find that balance without coming across as arrogant and he knows everything? Because do you know what I mean? So how do you find that balance?
I honestly just say, look, if you're Catholic, this is usually what we should do. And I'm not saying you have to do this or some bad things can happen. I'm just saying
the should implies that
the thing is, as Catholics, we're not just Catholics in name. We have duties, and it's not. I don't make the rules. I'm just telling them what they are. Like, we have duties as Catholics, and if you don't follow through with them, you really are just kind of Catholic in name and just in name. If you don't do anything about it,
yeah, kind of like what's called a lukewarm Christian. So I would identify them as that, and especially at my school, there's a lot of atheists, and I constantly have discussions with many people. I always try to be as nice as possible, and I always say the beginning of every sentence is in my opinion, what I think is the truth, or what I think it's this, or what I think is that. I don't specifically tell them this is that, but I tell them I think and I believe that this is the truth, and then I continue with my statement. So I am implying that it's a truth, but I'm trying not to imply that, oh, you should do this because I'm telling you so. But I'm kind of planting that seed, kind of trying to plant that seed, throw it out in the air.
Okay, guys, for what it's worth, I think it's working in the sense that here in our local church, we're seeing more and more youth. So whatever you guys are doing, I'd say keep doing it. Tomas, how do you find that balance without coming across as arrogant or and being proud of your faith?
I'm proud of my faith. I would say it to somebody if they asked me what religion I am. I would openly say I'm Catholic.
Mm-hmm.
But what drives me insane at my school is as John Puss said, when people come up to me and say I'm Christian, because there was one guy who said to me, start doing the holy the cross for a test, but he did it the complete wrong way round. I was asking him, "What? Oh, are you Christian?" And he said, "Yeah." And then I said, "Oh, are you Catholic or a Protestant or Orthodox?" And he said, "Oh, I don't know." And I said, "Well, do you know the Pope?" "Oh, yeah, that one, yeah."
Hey, look,
I find it sometimes. I would say to somebody if you're Christian for show, should be turning up to mass.
Do you think he was Christian for sure? What I'm hearing or seeing is somebody anxious because of the exam and invoking, in the moment, maybe not as thought through as you guys, but I see, you talk about the seed. I see a seed that wants to be watered, maybe,
Lots of the times it is in jest, though. At least at my school, I hear people shouting things from
but
all religions.
All jokes have a bottom of truth, That's
I see, but at the end of the day, people really just sometimes say things they really don't know.
All the time, not just you guys. Trust me, plenty of adults that do that as well. Quick fire round. One word to describe your generation. I know, JP, it's one word, and I'm gonna be very stick. One word. Take your time. Does it have to be the same?
Potential.
Oof.
Okay.
Changing.
Multiple. So basically, we can we can be moldable.
Moldable.
Moldable. I say multiple.
Best church snack.
Okay.
Best church snack.
Actually, what's the church?
Actually, I don't know. You don't have a sneaky snack in church sometimes?
Wait,
It was a
missing out.
it was a
Sponsor. You do like.
it was a big
I don't know if you know.
How would you describe?
my generation. How would I describe my generation? Oh, oof,
One word.
sheesh.
Come on. So that's one word says it all.
Maybe that. That's already. You don't know. Yes.
Searching. There's a lot of projection here. I think there's a lot of me in that answer. But yeah, I think our generation, and Father Sjaak can probably attest to this, but is the generation that kind of went hardest away from our religion because for many reasons, because of comfort, because it's so easy to live that maybe you don't need to go to church as much as you used to. But I also see in my generation a lot of people that are searching for meaning, searching for purpose, searching for connectivity or communion or community rather was I looking for. So yeah, searching. Lena,
Can I say something?
of course you can. You just did.
Okay. But I want to say also, I feel like your generation was kind of like this startup to I'm not saying it as a bad thing, but it is a bad thing. But I'm not going to see it like okay. It's hard to understand me, okay? I'm not trying to say it as like a mean thing, but I feel like it's one of like the generations that kind of like started this going youth maybe turning away more from like Christ. I don't know. I think it's probably your generation. I feel like now it's coming back. I feel like it's like this really weird thing where it's like at the beginning of your life, it's like you're drifted away, and then I don't know why. I feel like this happens with a lot of people, that it's kind of like your youth is all like having fun, being in the world, like live your life. Life is one. And then after you turn like 45, it's like, okay, now I need to like start searching for a meaning.
The thing is,
Yeah.
my life is going to you in Christ.
Yeah.
But
You start thinking about it.
Yeah.
Because I think Father Sjaak and I were actually talking about in one of our last episodes is that there is a strong correlation between economic wealth and faith. So you see, if you go to poorer countries, the churches there are still full. So there is something to be said about comfort, kind of numbing the spiritual need, to put it that way. So yeah, absolutely. So shots fired, but we agree. I basically said the same thing as you. So yeah, fair. Anything on a personal note that people maybe here in this room or people listening need to know about you personally? You, JP. What would you like people to know about you?
Oh,
So many words and now nothing.
yeah, so I don't mind talking about myself.
Yeah, he got stuck on the one word kind of thing, and that was like, no, think about words.
I think about it. Any of you guys, if you'd like to share something personal about what do you want people to know about you? Oh, they're very private. You don't have to.
I mean, I'd probably say that one thing I would like people to know about me is that even though I mess up lots of times, not just in faith, but math, sports, everything, I always put my best in, no matter how bad the result is. And I never use like AI or stuff. I always put myself, no matter how poor quality and honestly horrible it is. At least I can say at the end of the day, that was me that did that.
Well, it's back to Tomas's comment about making mistakes and through making mistakes, learning, right? So, guys, I was actually surprised and impressed hanging out with you guys how little you guys actually use AI. I think adults use AI way more than you actually do at school. Don't drag her into this. All right. No, then don't. One final question, guys. If you were the priest for a day, what's the first thing you checked? In your own community, in your own mass, whatever. What's your... You got all power, priest for a day, pretend he's not there.
I mean, technically, I'm a woman, so...
No. Oh, we had to go there. No, but that's fair. But you're the first woman priest. What do you do?
Oh, why is this getting turned into me? I think I'll trying to like change that kind of like judgment that we have against people, even like when we don't really think about it or when we don't really notice like judgment of like people's past or maybe like people's presence and like mistakes committed, and maybe like I don't know, anything in general. For example, like divorces, like getting divorced and then trying to like move on. And it's like, oh, there's like such an...
So how do you do that as a priest?
I think maybe like searching for like kind of like acceptance and like kind of like inclusion of like bringing people in. Like everyone is accepted. Like we are like...
Even my generation, Helena? Am I forgiven?
I love your generation because my parents are from your generation.
Very good. How about you guys? Priest for a day. Your show.
If I'm going to be honest with you,
Yeah.
I'd probably be much firmer about some of the rules of the faith. Like, come on, guys, we're Catholics. Let's not do this. But that doesn't mean just because you break one of these rules, that doesn't mean you're not welcome at church. Of course, that does not mean that. Jesus died with sinners, but he did not sin with the sinners. And so what you really have to, I think, if I were a priest, is that I would definitely be more firm on the more on some of the rules that people like. Yes, you're a Catholic. Don't do that. But also, when they do make that mistake, you have to have a fine balance between being firm on the rules and when they do make those mistakes, accepting them and helping them to be a better Catholic. Because that's what it means to be a good Catholic, and especially a good priest, that you help your community to do better and not let them be neglected.
Mas?
I just tried to help, like, everyone. I think,
yeah, Father, you're not helping people.
No.
Like, it's bad. One thing that makes me really sad sometimes is when I walk down the street when you see homeless people. I try to do more for them. And I know we do lots in this church, but like there's places in the world where homeless people people just sneer at them and just walk away from them. Like we just have to they might be scary. They might have made mistakes in their life, but we're all human at the end of the day. So I think just to like reestablish that, like no matter who you are, you're a human and we need to treat each other with dignity. Like,
sounds like a good place to stop, doesn't it? Anybody in the crowd here that have questions for our panel here, esteemed panel? Father Sjaak, I'm sure you have a There we go.
The others, priest for a day, I think was a very good question. So I'm learning here. How about the others? If you were a priest for a day, what would
yes,
you
do? What's your opinion, Scott?
What would you do? Priest.
I don't really know, actually.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, I don't really know what I would do.
Okay.
You don't necessarily have to change, but if you were a priest, what would you look forward to? What do you think is fun about being a priest? Okay. How about you, Father Sjaak? What would you do if you were a priest for that?
For just one day instead of 14 months, I would probably take a day off. Really, to just be quiet and do nothing. And let the emptiness be filled with God's presence.
Just like now. Bit of silence. Silence interrupted by our sponsors for the day, Lay's. Thank you for pointing. Are you eating crisps during a podcast? Like we've reached new levels of.
No, okay. I was respectful and I ate my crisps, and then I went backwards.
So everybody heard. That's kind of the point. Anyway, I think I'd like to close on this. I think we'll have a second batch coming in with similar takes, I hope, or great takes, by the way. So, guys, thank you so much for doing this. I really appreciate it. Can be a bit scary sometimes. So, thank you for your honesty. Thank you for your sharing. And if nobody else has any more questions or comments, guys, thank you. And let's bring in round number 2. So, welcome again with our second batch of teenagers for our Teen Takeover episode. Will I call it that way? I don't know. So, I was asking 3 of your friends earlier some questions. I'm going to ask you the similar questions. First being, was it your choice participating in the confirmation? Or were you forced by your parents? Let's pretend they won't watch this.
I'll go first. So originally it was my dad who said, yeah, you're going to do confirmation this year. I didn't actually know it was really a choice. Kind of just had to do it because I also saw my older brother do it, which for me wasn't a problem because I was like, okay, it's cool, you meet new people, which I've always loved to do. So for me, it was never really a problem.
Okay.
So yeah, I just didn't really know it was a choice, and even if I did, I do think that I would have taken the choice to do it anyway. So yeah.
But sorry for the jungle noises in the background, but there's another 20 teenagers walking around here. How about you, Liam or Felix?
Yeah. For me, it was a choice, and I chose to do it because I felt like I did my communion, and I wanted to like take a step further to get closer to God.
Okay. Freddie, Liam, same for you guys. You can leave the mic, to be honest, guys. That's all right.
For me, it was a hard force. I feel like I was a bit tempted to do it by my parents because after
What do you mean tempted? Tempted or forced by your parents?
tempted, like as in if I didn't do it,
Yeah.
they would think something of me.
Oh, okay. I see what you mean.
Because after the first communion, I felt like, oh, this is already a big achievement. I think I'm going to stop here.
Uh-huh.
But then my grandma was the one who really, really got me on the right track. I said, this is really something fun. You're going to do a lot of things. You're going to meet wonderful people. And this is going to be a big milestone for you and in your Christian career. Yeah.
Okay. So a mixture of feeling like I had to, but also somewhat inspired by people around you, like your grandmother. Okay. Ready? Did you put the mic in the middle a little bit? Yeah. And if you leave it there, it'd be fine. Yeah.
For me, it was a choice because I saw like a lot of my friends do it the years before me, and I was like meant to do it, but I didn't really know what it was, so I didn't really I opted out of it because I didn't really know what it meant. But yeah, now I finally felt like more comfortable, and I was at a place in my life where I have the time and I really like wanted to, and I was curious about it. So yeah, I guess it was my own choice. Like no one forced me to.
It's amazing how they defy statistics, because I said at the beginning that I asked them all, whether you're forced or not. 50% said forced. Yet somehow here at the table, we all have volunteers. Makes sense of that. No, I'm not kidding. Guys, I also asked your friends in terms of, there's a lot of adults listening, a lot of parents, grandparents, younger people as well. What is it that we non-teenagers need to understand about being a teenager in 2026? What don't we not get? What would you like to tell people who are listening? This is what you don't understand about being a teenager in 2026.
Sorry, in terms of like being a Christian teenager or just in general?
Both.
Oh.
But let's start with just being a teenager.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was gonna say that I feel like it's very difficult being a teenager now compared to 20 years ago, because there's just so many external sources of pressure and things that influence your life that you wouldn't have had 20 years ago, primarily digital media and social media and stuff, and it affects your life in a whole new way. And especially because we're the first generation that grew up with it, so we weren't really there are no guidelines or anything to help us, so we're just kind of
aren't there?
Well, now there are, but back in the day, so we're the ones that had to live through it, and I think that it's a whole new way of living, and it affects how we interact with each other on a daily basis.
So not in just a good way. So there's bad things about it all.
Yeah, there's
what's tough about social media and digital life you're leading? What makes it tougher than 20 years ago?
Well, can I?
Yeah.
Well, I think that part of it is when you don't know how to do something, you straight away think of the resource to go ask the media or even ChatGPT, etc. I think that that's kind of just part of it. And so for me, what I'm scared of, I'm not going to lie, I have gone to do that multiple times. But what I'm scared of it is the fact that what if it becomes too natural? And then when I seriously just don't know how to do something, I just don't figure it out myself. I just go rely on other social media and etc. and even people. I think it's something that you should just also learn how to figure out kind of yourself.
You're kind of afraid of outsourcing a lot.
Yeah, or just being really dependent on things that clearly I don't need to depend on, because generations before me have done that.
You guys feel the same way?
Yeah.
Is there one app or one thing in particular that you guys think now is actually I could really do without this? What one example for me, for example, is Google Maps or Drive or Waze. I know how to get home. Like I don't really need it. Why do I, focus on where to go the quickest way home? It's like if it's okay if I'm in the, in traffic for 10 minutes. That's just my example. But what's your example of an app where you're like, I could really do without that one?
Well, for me, I play guitar and I use like a guitar tune app. But I guess I could figure out how to tune a guitar like naturally. Because it can help me if I wanted to play, but my guitar isn't tuned and I don't have a digital device by myself.
Great example.
I think for me, probably TikTok. Although for now, for Lent, I don't have it anymore since I deleted it for Lent. But honestly, I just find a lot more free time in my day. And I've just gone to do a lot of other things. So now I know that it's seriously not that bad. It's just something for me, mostly the thing that I miss most about TikTok is not at all watching the videos. It's mostly just my friends sending me videos and me sending them to my friends. Like that's seriously the thing that I miss the most, not because of the actual videos themselves, but because it's the fact that you're actually interacting with the people that you choose to be with.
But it sounds like you're kind of stuck then in between a rock and a hard place in the sense that you delete the app and you lose that interaction, engagement with your peers.
Yeah.
But then if you keep the app, then you're...
Yeah, but what I'm hoping to... Because I know I am going to install when I get... Like, when Lent is over.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that I feel like I'm going to be a lot less on TikTok because of the videos and more just replying to my friends. And
good.
Interacting.
Okay, and how about being a Christian teenager in secular Netherlands? You're in different schools, right? I know about a few of you. So how is it like being Hi, Emmanuel. How is it like being I mean, do people around you even know that you're...
Well, I mean, I don't necessarily like hide the fact I'm Christian, but I also don't go around telling people like that I'm Christian. Because I find it kind of pointless. But if they ask, I'd obviously say that I'm Christian.
Mm-hmm.
And I feel like people don't really care much about your religion. They don't judge you based on that. At least from my experience, they just judge you for your
I know the same experience.
Okay. So is it easy or like, because we had this quite different answer from the previous guy. So for example, JP was saying that him being raised in the US in very Catholic schools, like denominated Catholic school, that he was surrounded by Christians, he was surrounded by people who shared his faith, and that coming here, it made it a far more conscious. It was more of an effort to really find a community. Do you feel the same thing in school or?
Yeah, definitely. Because in my school, we don't really have the religion thing going on. It's more of a mixed school. So we have Muslims, Christians, Jews. It's just a mixed school.
Yeah.
But we still feel like we know our worth and that we don't feel the need to put another person down.
Do you find each other in school when you know there's somebody? Do you feel like you naturally gravitate towards each other?
No, but you can also tell it from the way they act or the way they handle situation. Like,
can you?
Yeah.
Can you give me an example?
Well, I had this kid once in my class, and he was always very nice, and he always chose to do something to benefit other people instead of him. And I asked him why he does that, and he says, "I feel like that my past really helped me with that because I was fed up in a Christian household."
Okay, interesting.
Morals, yeah.
So this is where it gets a little bit tricky, where we need to be careful, because that somewhat implies that if you're not a Christian, you can't be a good person.
Yeah.
I'm heel kort door de bocht, as they say in Dutch, right? So, but let's say this. I personally believe that having a faith makes it easier to be a good person. But I think ultimately we're all good people. So, could you chime in on that, or do you disagree? Or
I think that like we're all people. I mean, like I think most people are good people.
Yeah.
And I think that it doesn't like matter, and your religion doesn't like matter to whether you're a good person or not. I think that's also just personal values and maybe how you're brought up in general. And I think especially going to like international schools most of my life, that
when you interact with people from like so many different backgrounds and religions and like ethnicities, that like you don't really like, I don't know, you have a more of an open mind and you don't really think of people just based off their religions. And like personally, like I have this community of like Christians and stuff, and also at my school there's like a few, and like, but there's never really situations where it's like necessary to bring it up. Like it's just never brought up or talked about that much. Like,
Yeah.
Out of respect, you think, or just because it's not topical at all, or?
I think so my school, we have like, it's a school where you're not really allowed to like express your religion. So for example, we can't wear a cross on our necklace and stuff, which I personally don't agree with. Not because of the fact that I'm a Christian, but because in general I think it's, of course I think it gets to an extent where if you're oppressing your beliefs on others, like that's not right. But I think that in a way, like you should be able to just show what you like to do. It's like how you dress. Yeah, that's just my opinion. But like, at least in my school, I know that I forgot what it is.
That's okay. No, but the expression of your faith, that it's not okay in your school, and the same thing, by the way, for a lot of governments. Like a lot of governments forbid to openly wear, or for government employees to openly wear a cross or a burqa or anything that basically promotes, I guess, a faith.
Yeah,
there we go. She's back.
So, I just want to say that, like, I think, so going back to your question of earlier about past generations and etc. Well, I think that nowadays, as I can't remember what we were saying, I think it's less of a topic now, and people will kind of not really care anymore. Like they'll literally just talk to a person because of who they are. So, for example, me, I naturally gravitate towards kinder people and people who treat me well, and I think that's what everyone should do. So, I have a lot of friends who have no religion or who have different religions, and I seriously just see them for who they are as a person and stuff. And also, I like to learn about how they view life and their decisions, and also their religions for those who do. And I just think it's really interesting to learn about other religions and like how they think and to make decisions. So.
Okay, so nice little segue here, or a different. What do you like about other religions? What do you find very appealing about Islam or Judaism or Buddhism or anything?
Well, it's not mostly anything in specific. It's just the fact that, like, for example, Ramadan, I think it's just something completely different, but I think it's also such an interesting thing to learn about. Yeah, that's kind of everything I have to say, but like, it's just, I don't know, I just find it really interesting, like, from someone who has their own religion.
Yeah, for sure.
How others do things and simple.
Learn a lot about yourself through learning from others, obviously. Yeah, cool. But Sjaak, do you have any questions for them?
Well, we meet each other in the doing of good. So basically what we said during Mass today as well, I mean, if you unite or seek alliances for a common cause, you do a good thing together. And it doesn't matter what inspiration people have or what religion, but we feel here in this parish, for example, we have about 200 refugees. Most of them are Muslim. But they, together with our volunteers, they cook, they have parties, they have language classes, they have outings together. And the fact that in the bus they sit next to each other, the conversation begins because the barrier disappears. And it's nice to actually discover that, no matter what, we're all human beings. So it's a little bit what we said about the Samaritan woman earlier, when all these preconceived notions, oh, she's a woman, oh, she's a Samaritan, oh, she is divorced, oh, she is this or that. Can we still look at a person rather than all the boxes that person ticks, So I think in the end, religions seek the sanctity of life, the dignity of life, the fact that life is bigger than what we can understand. If we can get back to that spirituality or that basic attitude, it's much more interesting conversation than why do you wear a cross or why do you wear a headscarf or something like that, because these are the outward signs. But it's very interesting to discover what people actually inside, what motivates them, or what makes them a good person, and what is their belief. And then you see actually it's practically all the same.
What was I thinking asking a priest to ask questions? Priests preach, right? I asked the question. So back to that the whole generation gap. What would you like to ask our generation, your parents, to do better, less, or more to help you guys? Not just you personally, but as a generation. What should we do better?
Well,
that was quick.
Yeah. Well, I think it's part of just realizing that the world and the people are changing, and that, at least for me, I know that a lot of parents tend to compare how their life was at our age. And I just think that comparison isn't always useful, especially in situations like this, because it's seriously just not helping. And like, for example, saying, oh, when I was your age, I wouldn't do that. Like, of course it's useful to say that when it's like, oh, when I was your age, I'd always help in the house. Like, okay, yeah, I'll go help more in the house. I'll do the dishes, stuff like that. But it's more in a way where it's like, oh, we weren't allowed to do that when we were your age. Okay, like I can't choose what I'm allowed to do. Like, for example, by my teachers and stuff. I just think it's like, it's just, you have to realize that people and the world and the children and the system of education and everything is just changing. And just because it's different doesn't mean that it's worse. So yeah.
That's very wise words. Guys, what do you...
Yeah, I also wanted to mention regarding comparison, but I feel like parents also tend to compare their children with other kids their same age that are like exceeding higher in education. Like I get that they want to surround us like around people that are that are good at school and etc. for like to influence us to be better. But sometimes that can like really get you feeling like that you're not really good enough and that you're always behind that one person you like need to catch up. So
wow. I'm touched, honestly. The truth bombs, guys, truth bombs. Keep them coming.
Yeah, I was gonna say that I feel like your generation knows better has a responsibility, like as a whole, to educate themselves on like the knowledge gaps they have and the gaps in experience that you guys have compared to us, because you guys lived a different reality than the one that we're living now. And I feel like it's not fair for you guys to have like assumptions and like judgment on based on how we live if you don't understand like the like what we are living, right? So I think that like everyone has, and this doesn't just go for like our generation and your generation, it goes for like society as a whole. We all have the responsibility to like educate ourselves, so that, because I think that's where like a lot of negative stuff comes from, is just like a lack of understanding. And I think that if we all educated ourselves more, then we would all like get along better.
If you can give an example to illustrate your point of something that this generation can learn, what would it be?
Oh, I have an example.
Go ahead.
Well, this is more for this, so your generation.
Chris is way younger. It's just, I got
So your
46.
For our generation, it would more be learning about mental health, I think, because I think that's something where nowadays we have more resources to help ourselves out as children and as teenagers especially, because I think teenagers today suffer more than I won't say more, but I'd say maybe it's the same. I wouldn't know. No offense.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that now we have more kind of things to help us with like mental health issues and stuff. So I think it could be useful to learn more about how children today should be treated with mental health issues like anxiety, depression, etc. I don't know if that is.
No, but that's very fair.
I wanted to say like this example would also be the schooling system. I think we experience it very, very different. Like obviously every generation experiences school differently, but we all were in school during COVID and we like had to adapt to all of that. And it's like everyone judges us like as a generation. I know at my school especially, we entered secondary online and we had such a bad reputation because like we never got the chance to adapt into regular.
Who's we? Who's judging you?
Teachers, like everyone else at our school, like we had such a bad reputation. And I just don't think it's fair because no one really understood that we never got the chance to adapt normally like everyone else did. And I think that also goes for like school curriculums and stuff. And I think that we also have a lot more pressure like academically now because we get compared to our peers, like you said, but also online. Like, sorry, this is a bit niche, but there's this TikToker who's called.
We'll tag him.
Okay, it's actually.
We'll tag her. Oh God, I tried.
And my cousin, she lives in the UK, and she was doing her GCSEs at the same time as this TikToker, and she would post videos, and she would be like, studying 6 hours a day for my GCSEs. And it's just so like, it was setting such unrealistic standards because I know my aunt would compare like my cousin to her and be like, so I just feel like it's not like realistic. And so much of like our reality is kind of constructed like so that people are seen the way they want to be seen. So I think people just need to be more like aware of that.
Okay, that's fair. If I may, turn the tables and maybe give the parents a little bit of a voice. What, especially hang on, parity and all that. What you said about mental health is very true and very important. What do you think you guys, your generation, could do to help my generation achieve that? You know, let's meet in the middle here. You know, you said learn about each other. So what guys could you do differently to get closer to us or for us to better understand? And while you think about it, let me give you a quick example to maybe elicit some empathy for my generation, using the example of mental health. And I'll use a very personal example. ADHD, when I grew up in school, was 1 out of 100. It was the one kid that was completely crazy, jumping off walls. That was the one kid that had ADHD. Everybody else was just turbulent or normal, or there was no such thing as, and I'm sure for your generation it was even worse. There was no ADHD, everybody in the same class. So there was very little there to help people that had very similar and to the same ratio of mental health. Mental health issues have been around forever. You have them, we had them, the next generation will have them as well, however well we live. So I'm just saying this to kind of make you realize that our generation went through the same mental health issues, but we had even less support than the. So to kind of buttress my point of, you know, what could you guys do to maybe break that wall a little bit with my generation?
I think it's really the lack of understanding each other.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, the bond between parents and their child. Because I feel like kids these days, because of the rise of social media and because for the first generation to grow up with it, it has very big impact on our lives. Because normally when we get back home from school, the first thing we do is doom scroll on TikTok on our bed.
Yeah.
But compared to in your generation, after school, you would have done your homework while your mom was preparing food to eat for dinner. So
yeah.
I feel like...
Okay, go on. I'm not sure where you're going.
I feel like if you understand how things are for the other, you're able to bond more.
Yeah.
On that, on the base of that.
So,
but also that once you get to understand why people do what they do, it's also like helps you empathize more with that.
Absolutely, 100%. Amen. But how do you get there? as a teenager, the message is clear to us. Be more patient, ask more questions, be more. I get all that. What about you?
Well, I feel like to add on to that idea, I feel like it would be just creating a sort of balance in between the two. So like you were saying, meeting each other in the middle. So obviously if you guys try to understand us better and how we are growing up nowadays, but I feel like it could also be nice to understand how parents deal with their children growing up differently. Because obviously if we're new to it, then you're obviously also new to it as well. So I feel like something that would be nice is just literally just talking about it or talking about the differences, but not comparing.
That's fair. The comparing thing hits pretty hard. I think I think a lot of parents will recognize that comparing mechanism. For me, an easy way to try and achieve it is family dinners. I don't have stats about how many people still have dinners together every evening as a family. My feeling is that it's less and less. I and Eva as well try to really make a point to try and have dinners. Even if it's half an hour, no phones for half an hour, we're actually talking. I think that's one very powerful way to do it. Any other questions?
Well, no.
I'm sorry, I'm asking the wrong person again.
Yeah, it's a question. I think your generation is 20 years younger than my generation again. In my generation, families were bigger, so it took a village to raise a child. The community had a lot of presence in the education of children. Secondly, the brothers and sisters, the families were bigger, so they also helped to each other through crisis or depression or loneliness. It was less of an issue because people got more personal attention, and then we didn't have all the social media stuff, of course, so we weren't distracted that much. And the world was simply smaller and simpler. We didn't travel so much. You didn't have so many choices. If you went to the supermarket, there were 4 kinds of soap, and that was it. You could choose one of the 4, But I can see how complicated it is if you have 20 choices all the time of everything. And people even ask you then to justify your choices. And then all these other demands, they're shooting each other in Iran. And we have to choose plastic straws to recycle. Paper straws, yeah. I mean, how crazy is that? I mean, they can blow each other to pieces with all the environmental consequences there, and here we have to separate plastic from paper. I mean, it seems such a small thing to do to save the planet, and all the time when they felt guilty about, you don't do enough because you are not fair trade, you are not green, you are not vegetarian, you are not vegan, you are not this, you are not. Very tiring. I can imagine that it's exhausting. I never had that experience as a child. We just lived and nobody told us anything about the planet or about sustainability or about, whatever.
Was sustainability even a word?
Definitely, yeah, but I can really imagine it for you. And of course, I'm in it as well because, now we live in this world. But it's exhausting. You can never do it right. Yeah. And if you do, then the rest of the world will show you what does it matter. Extremely exhausting.
So maybe to wrap up, guys, I asked the previous group as well. One word to describe your generation. Take your time. It's very hard, especially for Lucia, I think. One word. And I'm not going to give you clues as to what the previous said, but go ahead. How would you describe your generation?
I would say heavy.
Heavy. Okay. Heavy as in it's hard.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was going to say special.
Yeah. But both can be true at the same time, right?
True, yes.
Oh, I was gonna say chaotic, but I feel like that only applies when you start middle school and you're not in the.
I'd just step outside that door, straight into chaos. So, but sorry, chaos. Okay, get it. Lucia, we're all waiting.
Different.
Different.
Basically.
Oh, that was mean. They're 2 very different words. Okay, guys. I'm getting hungry. It's getting late here. I think we're going to wrap up. I want to thank you guys, all four of you, and our audience, Aiden.
Yes.
And Manuel, thank you so much. Yes.
Yes.
I believe this is the 15th class, and apparently they just met. So thank you very much, guys, for your honesty, for your contribution, your, again, honesty and authenticity. I really enjoyed it. Thank you, Father Sjaak, for being here as well. Thank you, everyone, social media crew, etc., for the videos. We'll leave it at this. Thank you so much, and we'll talk to you on the next one.